The sun sank low over the sprawling Texas landscape, painting the sky in warm hues of orange and gold as the music festival buzzed with life. Laughter and chatter merged seamlessly with the melodies drifting from the stage, creating an electric atmosphere. Yet amidst the vibrant crowd, Ella Martinez felt a suffocating heaviness wrap around her heart. At 36, she stood at the edge of this celebration, a world that felt distant and unreachable. Just weeks after the death of her father, Raphael, the joyous sounds felt like a cruel reminder of the silence that now filled her life. He had been a man of few words, teaching her the ways of the land and the bond with horses. But with that stoicism came an absence of affection that had left her feeling unloved, and now without him, she struggled with that legacy of emotional distance. "Ella!" Maria Vasquez's voice cut through the haze of her grief, pulling her back to the present. Ella turned to find her friend, whose bright smile seemed to resist the cloud that loomed over her. "Let's go closer. George Strait is about to perform." Ella hesitated, heart torn between the comfort of solitude and the pull of the music that had once connected her to her father. George Strait's songs had been the soundtrack of her childhood, and the thought stirred bittersweet memories, her father's face softening as he hummed along. Reluctantly, she followed Maria, weaving through the crowd, but the warmth of the atmosphere clashed with her icy feelings of loss. As they reached the front, the energy shifted palpably, and Ella felt a flicker of something deep inside her, hope mingled with sadness. Then the lights dimmed and the air turned electric. As the first notes rang out, silence enveloped the crowd. Suddenly, a stunning horse bolted into view, its powerful form cutting through the festival like a living arrow. It approached the stage and gracefully knelt before George, who stood captivated. Gasps rippled through the audience, a palpable blend of awe and reverence. Ella's breath caught at the sight, something stirring within her. Anger bubbled beneath her grief, fusing with the questions that haunted her. Why did this powerful creature kneel before a man she had idolized? Why had her own father never shown her such devotion? As George settled into his song, Ella's heart raced, memories flooding back to moments shared with her father on the ranch. In each chord, she sensed the unspoken words, the emotions he had never expressed. This sudden connection with the horse felt sacred, as if it was urging her to confront the pain she had carried in silence. When the performance ended, and the crowd erupted into applause, Ella lingered, feeling both lost and awakened. The music had stirred something deep within her, a rekindling of missed opportunities, a longing for reconciliation. Caught between the fury of her unresolved feelings and the yearning for connection, she recognized the ache in her heart. As voices around her cheered, Ella stood at a crossroads, the echoes of joy and sorrow entwined. In that moment, she realized she could no longer ignore the whispers of her heart. They beckoned her forward, urging her to seek the forgiveness and peace she desperately needed. Ella wandered through the memories, each one vividly alive in her mind. It felt as if she was walking the familiar paths of her childhood, the dusty trails that wound through her father's ranch, where the scent of fresh hay mingled with the earthy aroma of horses. Her heart ached with the tenderness of those moments, yet there was a haunting quality, a bittersweet nostalgia for the father-daughter bond that had never fully blossomed. In her mind, she envisioned the sun-drenched mornings spent training the horses. Ella's small hands tightened around the reins, her father's steady presence nearby, offering guidance. "You've got a good heart, Ella," he would say, his words often cloaked in gruffness but held an undeniable warmth. The memory flickered with the light of his approval. The first time he had told her she had a natural touch with the horses. It had been a fleeting moment, yet it bloomed inside her, a bud of love that was never fully nurtured. "Don't be afraid. Let her move," he had instructed one afternoon, watching as she guided a spirited mare through the fields. As the horse galloped, Ella felt a rush, her spirits soaring alongside the animal. Her father's gaze had focused intently on her, and she grasped the love behind the hard facade that had defined their relationship. But as quickly as it had come, that connection slipped away, overshadowed by the unspoken distance that had crept in over the years. The silent moments grew longer, the space between them vast, sculpted by misunderstandings and his inability to verbalize his love. Years had passed, filled with their respective hurts and unresolved conflicts. The more she yearned for her father's approval, the more he seemed to retreat into the shadows of his stoic nature. The The closeness she craved was buried under layers of silence. As she grew more independent, the bravado to confront him faltered, fear woven into the fabric of her heart. Why couldn't she break through the barriers he had built? Why couldn't she reach him? The memory flickered to her father sitting on the porch, the world around him a blur as he stared into the vastness of the horizon. The silhouette of his figure against the dying light had been a common sight. Those haunting evenings were filled with the sounds of cicadas and the distant calls of horses, and for a moment she had marveled at how intimately they knew each other, without words. Ella had wanted to sit beside him, knowing that just a few words could rearrange the stars in her sky, but she hesitated, fear holding her back, as it always had. "You always think you know better, don't you, Ella?" he snapped once when she challenged his methods. The harshness of his voice echoed long after the words were spoken. The wounds they inflicted were deep but unrecognized by either of them, left to fester in unspoken resentment. In times like these, Ella buried herself in work, training horses, building fences, anything to drown out the tumultuous emotions threatening to rise. But now, as she stood at the festival, memories surrounded her like ghosts. The realization struck her hard. The anger she felt after her father's death stemmed not from his absence, but from the unresolved feelings that twisted within her. She longed for his love, for an acknowledgement of the bond that had slipped through their fingers. How tragic it was that he was gone before she could tell him how deeply she cared. Maria pulled Ella from her reverie, nudging her shoulder gently. "Hey, are you okay? You look a million miles away." "Just thinking about Dad," she admitted, voice thick with emotion. Maria's expressive brown eyes softened, matching the compassion she always extended to Ella. "You know, it's okay to miss him, and it's okay to feel angry about how things were between you two. The important part is that you're still here. You're still connected to him through this land and the horses you love." Ella nodded, tears threatening to spill, but she held them back, feeling the warmth of her friend's presence cradle her. "Sometimes I feel like I'm stuck, like I'm carrying this weight. It haunts me. Maybe it's time to let some of that go," Maria suggested softly. "You could ride more, or maybe try that journal I gave you last fall. Write everything you feel, the good and the bad. You might find clarity there." Ella considered the thought, the weight of emotion longing for release. A small part of her wanted to reject the idea. The other part craved the freedom of expression. "I haven't really done much since—" She trailed off, the truth stinging. She remembered the horseback rides that had once offered solace, now tainted with grief. "Then maybe you should," Maria encouraged. "Exercise that connection. The horses can help you find your way back to your heart." Ella took a deep breath, glancing toward the stage where George was preparing for another song. As the familiar chords filled the air once more, she felt the gentle pulse of the music coalesce with the beat of her heart, an invitation to step forward. For the first time, the thought of healing felt tangible. She closed her eyes, letting the melody wash over her. In the midst of her swirling emotions, she vowed to honor her father's memory. She would confront the pain to untangle the past, knotted with regret. The journey would not be easy, but in that moment, Ella knew she was ready to step away from anger, ready to find peace in forgiveness and ultimately to rediscover herself. The echoes of the past had created ripples, but it was time for her to swim forward, anchored by love rather than loss. The following morning, the aroma of strong coffee wafted through Ella's modest kitchen, mingling with the symphony of chirping birds outside. Sunlight streamed through the window, casting a warm glow over the wooden table covered with old photographs and the tools of her trade. Ella sat with her journal laid open, the pages staring back at her as if they held the answers she desperately sought. She took a deep breath, feeling both excitement and anxiety twist in her stomach. "Here goes nothing," she murmured, gripping her pen tightly. She dove into the past, allowing herself to explore the labyrinth of memories and emotions surrounding her father. Each stroke of the pen unearthed feelings long buried, both joyous and painful, as she reflected on their unspoken bond. "I remember my father, a man with a heart as vast as the Texas plains," she wrote, recalling sun-kissed afternoons spent training horses. The warmth of his quiet pride lingered in her mind. Yet alongside those warm memories, a familiar ache gnawed at her. His silent demeanor often left her feeling unseen, as though love were hidden in the spaces between their words. Each recollection flooded back with clarity, the highs of their relationship balanced by the lows. The thrill of her first successful ride was juxtaposed against the thick silence that often filled their home, a silence that carried with it a weight of unexpressed emotions. She sat for hours, the ink flowing as she remembered the joy of riding, the pride mixed with fears of never being enough, feelings that had settled like dust on her heart. With the sun creeping higher in the sky, Ella felt a gradual sense of release. The weight that had been pressing on her chest for so long began to lift as she confronted the complexity of their relationship. The act of writing transformed from a chore into a catharsis. She found herself pouring out the truths that had been trapped inside. As evening approached, Ella leaned back in her chair, gazing at the pages filled with her struggles and triumphs. A flicker of determination ignited in her heart. Maria's words echoed in her mind, urging her to reconnect with the horses, an outlet that had long been overshadowed by her grief. She resolved to ride again, as every equestrian journey was a step toward healing. With renewed purpose, Ella stepped outside. The day had turned starlit, the familiar earthy scent of the ranch enveloping her like a comforting blanket. The sounds of the night, crickets chirping, horses whinnying softly, wrapped around her, drawing her toward the paddock. There stood Sculptor, her beloved chestnut mare, a gentle giant whose presence always calmed Ella's racing heart. "Hey, girl," she whispered, approaching with outstretched fingers. Sculptor nuzzled her, responding to her touch as if sensing the longing in Ella's heart. As she saddled the mare, the leather felt reassuringly familiar. Ella took a deep breath, mounting Sculptor and feeling a rush of adrenaline. As they set off into the open fields, the cool evening breeze filled her lungs. It felt like stepping into a dance, the rhythm of Sculptor's hooves on the ground syncing perfectly with the pounding of Ella's heart. With each gallop, she shed layers of grief and tension, a sense of freedom enveloping her like the stars scattering across the sky. They rode toward the crest of a hill, and as Ella pulled Sculptor to a stop, the panoramic view before her stole her breath away. The vast field stretched out like an endless canvas, painted in hues of deep blue and vibrant gold from the setting sun. In that moment, surrounded by the beauty of the land, she felt an overwhelming peace wash over her. "Dad, I forgive you," she whispered into the night air, a cathartic release of emotions that had long been griping her heart. "I understand now. Your silence was never about me. I'll keep our memories alive and allow love to flow through the words I write." The weight of her father's absence still loomed over her, yet for the first time it felt lighter. Chasing away her anger and sadness was only the beginning. She was beginning to transform her grief into gratitude for the time they had shared, no matter how complicated. Their ride back to the farmhouse was filled with laughter and joy. Under the starlit sky, Ella felt anchored by the past, yet freed to embrace the future. Sculptor moved gracefully, the bond between horse and rider strengthened by the journey they'd just shared. As they arrived home, Ella promised herself she would explore this newfound healing path. She stepped away from the burdens of yesterday and took her first steps into a life filled with hope and love. The journey was just beginning, and she was ready to walk it, guided by the lessons learned from her father and the everlasting strength found in connection to her family, her past, and the land she called home. The next day brought a dawn adorned in soft whispers of light, a gentle reminder of new beginnings. Ella rose early, invigorated by the promise of possibility. The air was crisp against her skin as she moved through her morning routine, anticipation bubbling within her. Her journal, now filled with pages of emotion, lay open on the kitchen table, inviting her to continue her journey of expression. Stepping outside, she spotted Sculptor nuzzling against the barn door, as if waiting patiently for their next adventure. The bond between them had grown, unspoken yet palpable, and Ella felt a renewed sense of purpose spark within her. Today she would ride not just for herself, but for the memories of her father and the love entwined in each shared moment. "Are you ready to help me heal?" Ella asked, her voice soft yet sure as she approached Sculptor. The mare responded with a gentle nicker, as if affirming their shared journey. With practiced hands, Ella saddled the horse and took a moment to breathe in the familiar scents. The leather of the saddle mixed with the earthy aroma of hay. It felt like home. As they rode into the fields, the sun rose higher, casting golden beams that lit the landscape like a vast canvas splashed with life. Ella leaned forward, her heart racing not with fear but with excitement as they galloped over open stretches. the rhythmic thunder of hooves harmonizing with the melody of the wind rushing past her. Their ride took them deeper into the land that held her father's memory, a place of solace and strength. Trees rustled in the gentle breeze, and the world around her thrummed with energy. Ella felt the weight of grief dissipate, a transformation rising from the ashes of her pain. Each gallop drew her closer to the essence of life that she had long neglected. They arrived at a tranquil pond, encircled by wildflowers. The mirror-like surface reflected the azure sky, broken only by the soft sounds of nature, birds singing, frogs croaking, and the rustle of the grass. Ella dismounted and walked up to the pond, captivated by its beauty. With each ripple in the water, she felt a release, as though her past was washing away, leaving only the present. Sitting at the water's edge, she opened her journal, now overflowing with reflections. The pen glided across the pages as though it had a life of its own. She wrote of her father's love for the land, the way it shaped their lives. "He taught me to ride, to listen to the horses, to communicate without words," she penned. Each word felt like an offering, a tribute to the relationship they had shared. "Thank you for the lessons, Dad," she murmured, glancing up at the sky. It felt like an invitation, a gentle nudging to embrace her journey forward. She wrote about how her grief had not only anchored her, but had become a foundation on which to build her future. Ella's heart shifted as she penned, "As I forgive, I am reborn. The weight no longer defines me. It transforms me." Before long, the sun dipped lower, and Ella decided it was time to return home. Remounting Sculptor, she felt a renewed energy course through her. As they rode back, her resolve grew stronger. She wanted to share this newfound wisdom with others. The thought of starting a riding club for young girls who needed the same connection and healing she had discovered thrilled her. Perhaps through sharing her father's love of the land, she could help others find their way to forgiveness too. That evening, she gathered a few friends over for dinner. Maria arrived with a basket of fresh vegetables and herbs, the aroma flooding Ella's kitchen with warmth and comfort. As they prepared a simple meal together, laughter filled the air, a stark contrast to the silence that had permeated her days before. During dinner, Ella couldn't suppress her excitement as she shared her vision for the riding club. "I want to create a space where girls can come bond with horses, learn how to ride and find their own voices," she explained, her eyes sparkling with passion. Maria nodded enthusiastically. "That's an incredible idea, Ella. You have so much love to share, and it's a perfect way to honor your father's legacy. Just think how many lives you could touch." As the evening wore on, Ella felt peace envelop her, the kind that comes from dreaming big and embracing the present. They cleared the table, and Ella felt a flicker of nostalgia wash over her as she caught a glimpse of an old photograph of her father scattered among the dishes. He was laughing, his arms thrown wide as he stood beside a horse. "Dad, I'm ready to make our dreams come true," Ella murmured to the photograph. It felt as if his spirit lingered in the room, encouraging her to pursue the path of healing, connected to both her past and the future she envisioned. After her friends left, Ella returned to her journal, tapping her pen against her chin as she formulated her plan. She would need to organize the logistics, gather materials, and spread the word through local schools and community centers. The excitement bubbled up inside her like carbonation in soda, fizzy and ready to burst forth. That night, as she lay in bed with the moonlight spilling through her window, Ella reflected on the transformation she was undergoing. She had survived the storm of grief and emerged not unscathed but stronger, like a tree bent by the wind yet deeply rooted in the earth. The whispers of the past would always accompany her, but now they would become the foundation of her future. With a heart full of resolve, Ella closed her eyes, dreams of galloping horses and laughter mingling with the soft murmur of the trees outside her window. Tomorrow, she would take a step further down that path. The riding club would not only be a journey of growth for her, but for every girl who would find solace in the rhythm of hooves and the wisdom of those who had come before. She was reborn, ready to honor her father's memory while forging her own legacy. The following days flowed like a current, alive with energy and purpose. Ella awoke each morning with a renewed sense of determination. She began mapping out her plan for the riding club, scribbling ideas in her journal for activities, potential names, and ways to reach out to the community. The excitement made her heart race. Every thought was a thread she could weave into the tapestry of her vision. She spent hours researching horse care, riding techniques, and the emotional benefits of working with horses. Ella knew firsthand the way a horse could mirror human emotions, how their gentle nature could coax healing from a fractured heart. With each piece of information, she felt a surge of promise, a chance to share this gift, just as her father had shared it with her. After several evenings of meticulous planning, Ella felt ready to take the next step. She printed flyers with colorful designs, writing about the club's inception, celebrating the bond between girls and horses, and encouraging them to join her in unearthing their strength within. The words flowed effortlessly, her heart guiding her pen. "You are not alone. Together, we will heal." With the help of Maria, who was eager to lend her talents, they distributed the flyers throughout the local community center, schools, and even coffee shops. Ella felt a wave of joy and serenity washing over her as she shared her plans with anyone who would listen. More than once, she found herself lost in conversations with excited parents who expressed their support and enthusiasm. The day of the first meeting arrived warm and sunny, the sky stretching endlessly above them. Ella stood outside the barn, nerves fluttering in her stomach as she observed the small group of girls arriving. Each girl brought her own story, a mixture of hope and hesitation reflected in their eyes. "Hi everyone, I'm Ella," she greeted, flashing a warm smile that masked her own uncertainty. "Welcome to our riding club. I'm so excited to ride with you all and share what I've learned." As she spoke, she caught sight of Maria, standing off to the side, smiling encouragingly. Feeling bolstered, Ella continued, "Today, we'll start with introducing ourselves and a little groundwork with the horses. It's all about building trust between ourselves and our equine partners." The girls exchanged nervous glances, but soon began sharing their names and stories. There was Mia, a shy girl who loved the idea of riding but had never been on a horse before. Lisa, whose family had moved to the area just weeks ago, and little Sophie, a bubbly spirit who seemed undaunted by the prospect of meeting big horses. With each introduction, Ella noticed her own heart swelling with pride and warmth. After some icebreakers, they headed to the paddock. Ella carefully introduced each horse, allowing the girls to approach them slowly, letting the horses' gentle nature ease their nerves. As they brushed Sculptor and the other horses, familiar laughter and giggles filled the air, echoing off the barn's walls. The anxiety dissipated into exhilaration, and Ella marveled at the transformation unfolding before her. It was in that moment, surrounded by laughter and the camaraderie of young girls, that Ella felt a sense of purpose she had never experienced before. The connection between the riding club and her healing journey solidified in her heart. She wasn't just helping others, she was rekindling her own spirit through their triumphs. As the days turned into weeks, the club blossomed. The girls formed profound bonds with each other and their horses, weaving a tapestry of trust and resilience that brought them together. They held riding lessons every Saturday morning, taking their time to get to know the horses and develop their riding skills. Each lesson was filled with milestones, from mastering the basics to trying out their very first trot. Ella watched as Mia blossomed from a timid girl to one who beamed with confidence while riding. Lisa discovered a love for the horses that matched Ella's, her apprehensions fading with each lesson. Sophie, with her unyielding spirit, dashed confidently around the arena, her laughter ringing like music against the quiet backdrop of the ranch. One evening, as they sat around a campfire after a riding session, the stars twinkled above them in a mesmerizing display, mirroring the joy in Ella's heart. The girls shared stories, hopes, and secrets, weaving their lives together beneath the vast Texas sky. "Ella, can we do this forever?" Mia asked, her voice filled with genuine curiosity. Ella looked at each of their expectant faces, the dance of the flames illuminating their youthful spirits. "Yes, I hope we can. This is a safe space, a place where we can all learn and grow together." The sense of community deepened, and the girls began volunteering their time. They organized supply drives, collected old riding gear, and even started fundraising for local charities focused on youth development. The spontaneous giving became a tool for connection, reinforcing the values they were learning through their relationship with horses. As the season changed, so did Ella's heart. She felt the burden of grief transform into something lighter, more liberating. It was as if the land had bewitched her once again, allowing the roots of her father's legacy to nourish the dreams she had once feared to chase. That summer, Ella reached out to local schools to spread the word about the club, inviting more girls to join. At the end of the summer, Ella planned a special event, an open house to showcase the club and its accomplishments. Families would be invited to see the skills their daughters had developed, a celebration of their emotional growth and newfound confidence. As the day approached, Ella took a quiet moment by the pond where she had first felt her transformation. It reflected the clouds drifting by, and the tranquility of the nature renewed her resolve. "Dad, I'm sharing our love and the lessons we had," she whispered, the sound of the water breaking against the reeds accompanying her words. "Thank you for guiding me." The day of the open house arrived, filled with laughter, smiles, and the clamor of hoofbeats. Families gathered to watch the girls showcase their skills, and Ella stood proudly beside Sculptor as she glanced over the scene. The sense of accomplishment was palpable in the air, intertwining with the love that anchored them all. As the event wound down, Ella took a moment to look around at the familiar faces of her riders, the laughter that had become like a second heartbeat to her soul. It was then that she realized this journey was much more than just teaching girls how to ride. It was a pathway to healing and connection, one bound by love that transcended silence and pain. In that revelation, she understood. They were all on a shared journey of rebirth, her father's spirit intertwined with theirs, lighting the path forward. Together, they had transformed not only the horses, but also their hearts, forging bonds that promised to endure, much like the lush Texas landscape that held them. Ella stood among her new friends, feeling the vibrant pulse of life around her, ready to embrace whatever lay ahead, transformed by this journey of love, loss, and the healing power of the land they cherished. In the weeks following the open house, the riding club thrived, blossoming under the care of the girls and Ella alike. Each Saturday they gathered to ride, laugh, and share their triumphs, their friendships deepening with every passing moment. Ella felt exhilarated watching each girl grow in confidence and skill, yet she still carried the bittersweet weight of her father's absence. One late afternoon, as the skies darkened and thunder rumbled in the distance, a sense of foreboding crept into Ella's heart. The heavy clouds rolled in, mirroring the unease that had begun to settle within her. She wrestled with her emotions as she prepared for another riding session, hurrying to close the barn doors against the brewing storm. "Ella," Maria ventured into the barn, her face alight with concern. "Have you seen the weather forecast? It looks like we might be in for a downpour." "Yeah, I noticed the clouds," Ella replied with a practiced smile, but her heart wasn't quite in it. "We should finish up soon. I don't want the girls traveling home in dangerous conditions." "Maybe we should cancel today's lesson," Maria suggested, crossing her arms as she leaned against the wall, a frown etching her brow. "I know they've been looking forward to it, but safety first." Ella paused, her heart heavy. I don't know," she murmured, glancing toward the paddock where the girls were gathering, eager and excited. "I just feel like they need this. They've come so far, and I don't want them to lose momentum." Before Maria could respond, the first raindrops began to fall, tapping against the metal roof of the barn like nature's drum roll. Ella's resolve wavered. The weather seemed to echo her internal turmoil. As the rain grew heavier, the girls suddenly appeared at the barn door, shifting nervously, their excitement replaced by uncertainty. Ella took a deep breath and stepped forward, seeing the hope in their eyes as they sought direction. "Okay, everyone, here's the deal," she began, her voice steadying despite the tempest outside. "The weather is turning on us, and it looks like we'll have to call it a day. But here's what I want you to do. Let's take some time inside to talk about our progress and share what we've learned. We can still bond, even without riding. How does that sound?" The girls nodded as relief washed over them, and Ella turned to Maria, their shared belief in the importance of connection reaffirming her decision. "I'll grab some snacks," Sophie chimed in, racing toward the supply area, her enthusiasm a refreshing contrast to the thunder rumbling above. As they settled onto hay bales, Ella encouraged them to share stories of their favorite rides. The laughter blossomed in the barn, even as the storm raged outside, a sense of unity forming like a fortress against the chaos. "I was so scared the first time I rode Sculptor," Mia admitted, her eyes lighting up with realization as she began to share. "But something about her made me feel safe. Now I can't imagine not riding. Right? It's like they just know what we're feeling," Lisa added, her eyes sparkling. "I felt so shy at first, but now I just want to ride all the time." Ella soaked in their words, filled with gratitude for the safe haven they had created. The storm outside began to resemble something more metaphorical, a rumbling reflection of the emotions brewing within. But as the laughter continued, Ella felt a swell of doubt creeping in, her heart clenching with the weight of unspoken fears. Maybe the girls were relying too much on her. Perhaps they had all grown too attached, and she was still tied to the ghost of her father, unable to fully embrace her new role as a leader. Just as the rain reached a crescendo, a deafening clap of thunder reverberated through the barn, sending a chill down her spine. The girls gasped and then erupted into laughter, as if the storm had become an unexpected part of their adventure. "See? We're brave, just like our horses," Sophie squealed, waving her arms, her innocence shining brightly in the gloom. There was something about the joy in their voices that pulled at Ella's heart, urging her to push through her doubts. But when she caught Maria's eye, she couldn't help but feel the flicker of anxiety swell within her. After all this time, could she truly carry the weight of expectation? What if she were to fail them? What if her own insecurities overshadowed the progress they had made together? In that moment of uncertainty, a part of her wanted to shield herself away, to retreat into the shadows where these worries could fester. But the laughter and camaraderie igniting the barn surrounding her drew her away from that temptation, anchoring her in the present. With movement driven by intuition, she stood up and cleared her throat. "Okay, who's brave enough to help me make some homemade treats for our horses?" The girl's eyes widened with excitement, their clarity grounding Ella. A flurry of energy erupted as they gathered supplies, filling the barn with animated chatter and joy. Together they mixed oats, apples, and carrots, discussing their favorite horses and dreams for the coming months. Ella lost herself in the camaraderie, her worries momentarily shunted into the background. When the storm finally receded, leaving a rosy sunset painted across the sky, the girls cheered, running outside with their creations, intent on treating their beloved horses. Ella followed, the weight of doubt easing as she watched the joy unfold. As Sculptor nuzzled against Mia's arm, Ella felt warmth flood her heart. In that moment, she understood that she didn't have to be perfect. She needed only to be present, allowing the love in their hearts to guide them through the storms that life threw their way. The power of community washed over her as laughter erupted once more, transforming the afternoon sun into a beacon of resilience and hope. They were all learning, they were all healing, and together they would weather any storm that came. Ella lifted her face to the sunset, closing her eyes to embrace the warmth. She was ready to step forward, a nourishing light in their shared journey. Each clap of thunder turned into an echoing reminder that storms may come and go, but the love birthed from this club, the laughter, the bonds, the healing, would remain a guiding force, illuminating their paths as they traversed the landscape of their lives together. The weeks following the storm blossomed into pure joy. The riding club thrived with energy, laughter, and an ever-growing bond among the girls. Each Saturday became a cherished tradition filled with camaraderie and the soothing presence of the horses. As summer transitioned into fall, the girls buzzed with excitement over the upcoming festival. Ella planned to celebrate their achievements and foster community connections. "We should have games and a bonfire," Lisa suggested, her eyes wide with enthusiasm. "And a jumping contest," Mia chimed in, her cheeks flushed with eagerness. Ella felt a familiar sense of nervous anticipation ripple through her. "Yes, let's showcase everything we've achieved and invite the community to join us. It'll be a day of fun for everyone." The excitement grew as they painted banners, crafted decorations, and organized booths, each step reaffirming the bonds they had formed. Ella felt the weight of responsibility, worry creeping in as she hoped the community would respond to their invitation. The morning of the festival dawned bright and clear, illuminating the ranch in golden hues. The energy was palpable as families arrived, bringing baked goods and decor, all to support the day's festivities. "Look at everyone gathered," Maria exclaimed, her delight mirroring Ella's swelling pride. Ella moved through the crowd, her heart buoyed by the connection blooming around her. As laughter filled the air and families enjoyed the various activities, Ella stood alongside Sculptor, recognizing how far they had all come together. In the afternoon, during the hayride, Ella rode with the girls, watching as they navigated confidently. As they cheered and laughed, a feeling of deep gratitude settled within her. Each giggle reminded her of the strength they had built and the healing their community offered. That evening, with the sun setting, Ella gathered everyone around the bonfire. "This festival is a celebration of our journey together," she said, warmth radiating from their connections. "Each of you has grown, and this community has given us strength. We've created something beautiful." The girls nodded, their faces glowing in the firelight. They shared stories and dreams, their openness forming an unbreakable bond as the night unfolded. A small, timid girl approached Ella, her voice shaky yet clear. "I really like coming here. It's like a family." Ella knelt beside her, touched. "You are part of this family now. We're here to support each other." As laughter erupted around the fire, Ella found peace amidst the joys and uncertainties. She realized she didn't need to have all the answers. She only needed to be present, surrounded by those who believed in each other. As dusk settled in, Ella stood quietly by the horses, feeling the warmth of the lanterns filling the space. The pang of her father's absence still lingered, yet now it felt woven into the fabric of love surrounding her. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight she felt the power of community wash over her, a blend of laughter and connection that promised to guide everyone forward. When she looked up at the stars emerging in the night sky, Ella felt a surge of hope, recognizing that her father's spirit lived on in every shared laughter and joy. Here in this vibrant community, she had found her home, where healing, love, and courage intertwined, illuminating their paths as they embraced new horizons together.